So once I get onto Calendly, if I'm going to use this to set up my conferences, I'm going to start with making a meeting. Now, when you first start off, you're going to have 3 different meetings. The free version only lets you have 1 meeting. So these are going to be not very useful once the trial expires. So I'm going to go up and create a new event type. And this is going to be a one-on-one meeting. We're going to let the invitee pick a meeting with you. Your parents are going to be allowed to pick a conference with you. So I'm going to go with this conferences. I'm going to go with my in-person meeting, and I can put in the location, maybe the building and the room number. I'm going to add another location. I'm going to click phone calls, and I'm going to call my invitee. This is going to say, if they pick phone call, it's going to ask them for their phone number, and then it's going to give it to you later so you can call them whenever your meeting shows up. Now, I'm going to also link my Microsoft Teams in here. Now, if your Microsoft Teams isn't hooked up yet, you can integrate it. There's going to be a little link that pops up here that says go to the integration page. Just follow that through, and then follow the instructions to link up your Microsoft Teams, but it should be able to do that. So Microsoft Teams is an option. It'll make a Microsoft Teams link for you, and it'll make a unique one for every person that signs up for the meeting, so you don't have a parent coming into another parent's meeting. So I'm gonna, once I get those set up, maybe you've got something else. I don't know if you want to do, a Google Meet or Zoom or whatever. You can go to descriptions, and this is going to be something you might want to describe a little bit more because people aren't going to know what to do. You might want to say select a time for a meeting, pick the location you want, and if you pick phone call, put your phone number in there, or answer the questions or whatever. So just really quickly go through that. We're set up. I'm going to click next. And now I get to pick how I want this meeting to be set up. This part doesn't matter too much. As long as your conferences aren't past 60 days into the future, you want them to be able to schedule 2 months in advance. We don't really care about that. You want to pick how long your event's going to be. So if you want to have a 15-minute meeting for conferences, at least scheduled 30 or whatever, I'm going to go with a custom and go to 20 minutes. And then I'm going to go to what are my hours going to look like here. So how Calendly normally works is you have your availability where maybe your working hours are from 3 to 7 p.m. That's the time that anybody can schedule a meeting for you. You have a certain schedule for that. I'm going to use custom hours just because conferences are probably only going to be on like 1 or 2 nights. So I'm going to go to calendar view, make sure that that's selected instead of list view. Calendar view, set custom hours, and I'm going to go edit all Mondays and get rid of. I'm basically just going to clear this whole thing off so that I can pick the days that I want. Edit all Fridays, go there. Okay, so now I want my conferences to be on October 5th. Edit this date, October 5th. I want my conferences to be available from 3:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Right, and maybe I want to do one more night. Maybe if the parents don't want to show up that night or they can't make it or whatever it is, then I'm going to give them, you know what, I'm going to stay on the next day from 3:30 p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. That's what I'm taking off. But you have 2 options for you. So you can set up whatever days you want for this, and whatever times you want for that. And then those are the times that are going to be available for parents to choose when they want to do their conferences. So I'm going to go down. This part can be kind of nice. You want to add time before or after your events. If you don't select any of these, parents are going to be able to schedule meetings right on top of each other with no time in between them. If you click before event, that means you're going to get a 5-minute buffer before another conference starts. It can be really nice for if you're doing a phone call or a meeting or a video meeting or something like that to kind of wrap things up if you need to, or get yourself ready for the next one. So I like to put before event, I need at least 5 minutes. You can do more if you want to. Just know that that'll take away from the amount of total times that you can have for events. So then I'm going to go to additional rules for availability. I want available start times in increments of, I'm going to pick 5 minutes for the smallest possible increments. The problem with this, if you choose 20, is that if they pick a time that doesn't fit into like 3 o'clock, 3:20, 3:40, 4 o'clock, then it'll get rid of a ton of times on your calendar. So I like to pick the smallest increments possible. Then you get to choose your scheduling conditions if and when they can schedule an event. if you set this to 4 hours and your meetings start at 3:30, they cannot schedule a meeting with you after 11:30 for a 3:30 meeting. There has to be a 4-hour buffer between the time that they can schedule and when the meeting starts. It's nice to have this set um, depending on how you want it so that you're not getting surprised with the meeting. I like to set it to, if it's a conference night, I like to set it for 0.5 hours so that I'm not going to have somebody show up, 5 minutes before a conference and I wasn't ready for them. You have to schedule at least a half an hour in advance. That way I have a chance to check and see. So you can set that however you want. If you don't want any, schedule it whenever you want, put it in as 0 hours. It doesn't matter. It's just kind of your personal preference. Time zone, secret event, doesn't really matter. We're going to go to next. Now I can go to, so my conferences should be set up. Now there's just a couple little options that I can change with. I might want to have some questions for them, like what's your name, what's your email. They're going to get the location, so this is what parents would see. And then you might be something that you want them to tell you before the meeting. What questions do you have for me? Maybe you're going to get a little heads up on some questions they might have, or what concerns do you have? Let's go with that. What concerns do you have about? Maybe they already have something, and then you could get a little bit of a heads up before they come into the meeting. You could have something like, what is your child's name? Then you would at least get their name, and you might, maybe parents don't have the same last names as children, and so maybe you have an idea of who they are before they come in. Maybe it's something where we want to have radio buttons. We want to say yes or no for the question, will you require a translator for our conference, right? So then you have an idea of what they're going to need before that. Maybe you want to have a one line, please please specify the language required. Maybe you're going to say something like that, where they say, I need a Spanish translator for this meeting. Okay, depends on what you want to do with that. So once I've got the question set up for them to be able to answer when they schedule the meeting, I can save. We can't do a whole lot with workflows, or we're not going to, at least notifications. They're going to get a calendar invite when they sign up, and so will you. Nothing we need to do here. We're not going to ask them to pay us for a meeting. So once I get set up to here, I can preview this and what parents might see when they try to sign up for a meeting. So they're going to come, they're going to see my description, they're going to see that it's a 20-minute meeting, they'll see the title, that it's VIS's conferences, and they'll be able to see the dates that I'm available for a conference. And then they can click on the day and the time that they want to have a meeting. Now there's some things on my calendar that are stopping this from showing up, but it should be there from 3:30 all the way through to a 20-minute meeting starting at 6:40 and ending at 7 o'clock. That's why I won't let you do that. And this one is the same thing, it'll end at 5. So let's say I wanted to schedule a meeting I'm a parent now, and I wanted to schedule a meeting at 4:30. My name is going to be Justin. My email is missjustinj@email.com, and I want to do a phone call meeting. Now, if I want to do a phone call, it's going to ask them for their phone number. And again, parent, you will get that as the teacher, you'll get their phone number and you will call them for that meeting. Nope. And I'm going to schedule that event. Now that meeting was for 4:30 to 4:50. And now you're going to see what this looks like on the back end of this. So on October 5th, I now have, and see, this is why it wouldn't let me schedule a meeting for earlier, is because I already have something on this calendar that it's reading off of. Calendly looks at your calendar and sees, is there anything there? And if there is something in the calendar, it won't let you schedule something during that time. So one thing to make sure is that if you have conferences on your calendar, you need to remove that so that it won't read it as you're busy. So you can see that on me as teacher now looking at this, I have a calendar invite. It's got their number that they entered in there. It's got the answers to their questions right here. Okay, and it sent an invitation to them. So it does send it out to that other person. Now let's look at what happens if I try to schedule another meeting. Let's go to View Live page. Now another parent comes, parent number 2 shows up and they want to schedule a meeting. Well, 4:30 is already taken. I need 5 minutes between. So 4:30 to 4:50 is the conference time. I need a 5-minute buffer in there. And so the next available time is now 4:55. So I'm going to select 5 p.m. Justin 2.0 org. I'm going to add, this is again parent number 2. I'm going to click Microsoft Teams because I want to do a Microsoft Team meeting. And we'll see what that looks like. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, and I'll schedule events. So now, great. I have a calendar event that's sent to my email. And now as teacher, I'm going to go check my calendar for October 5th. And I now have an invite that says this conferences, says this is a Microsoft Teams conference. And you can see that there's a Microsoft Teams link in my calendar link. So on the day of the conference at 5 o'clock, or whenever this is, different time zone, right at 5 o'clock, I would go and I would click this link right here. It'd bring me into a Microsoft Teams meeting, and it would be a separate link from another parent that had a Microsoft Teams meeting that day. So it is a unique link, which is very nice because then you're not going to have people jumping into each other's meetings throughout the night. So that they'll also have a calendar invite that has that on there. And you can see my other email is on here. So this would be like parent version. They have the exact same thing. They've got the questions and the answers that they answered. They've got the link to the Microsoft Teams meeting, and they would just click that to enter in that video room. So that's how you set it up. This one's ready to go. Now, once I do all this and I've checked it off and I've sent it to the person next door to make sure that it works and have them schedule a meeting, and I've deleted all of the meetings off of here like I should do to make sure that I am not going to get, let's get rid of all these. Sure, so now I've gotten rid of them all. Now I go back to my dashboard here, and if I want to send this link out, I can just copy the link, and now it's in my little clipboard here, and I can paste it wherever I want to in an email or whatever. I could say, hey parents, I'm doing the conferences a little bit differently this year. Here's a link that you can use to sign up for conferences on October 5th and 6th. Let me know if there's not a time available on there that works for you. And that's how you can set it up. So it's kind of a nice way to automate the conference process and to be able to generate the links and not have to worry about that, especially if you've got parents who want to come in and maybe want to stay home or maybe want to do a phone call. So yeah, that's the Calendly for conferences.